Hi, everyone. My name's Ashley Johnson. I am the women's lacrosse coach at Alma. This is my 5th year at Alma, which is crazy. Time really does fly. I am originally from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and then I went to Birmingham Southern College, Division III school, where I played 4 years of lacrosse, and then I kind of jumped into coaching. I've been around the country. I was in New Jersey for a year coaching at the Division II level, and then I ended up coming to Michigan, and I worked at Grand Valley State University for 3 years, and then I have been in Alma for the last 5.
Awesome. Well, I am Michelle Sabrin. I am the head cheer and stunt coach here at Alma College. This is ending year 8, starting year 9 for me. It's crazy. It's been that long. I started out actually in education. I was a 4th grade teacher and then started my college career right here at Alma College. And going into year 9, we're really excited with the growth of our program and excited to answer any questions that you guys have. All right, so let's see. We can start with some of the pre-questions if we want to.
Yeah, for sure.
So
the first one I think was, what's your favorite part about coaching at Alma?
I'll start with that one. So the thing I love about Alma is just the small school feel, not only for the student athlete, but also for the coach. Like, we are all together in the same area. We can ask questions of any coach in the department, and everyone really supports each other, is there to answer questions, and you can really bounce ideas off of each other very easily because we're all working together to give everyone a great student athlete experience. Yeah. What about you, AJ?
Similar. I think it's just kind of but the thing now when people ask that of students or faculty or staff, I think the common answer is, the people is, everyone's favorite part about Alma, which is absolutely true. The student athletes that we have at Alma are wonderful. That, we're blessed to be around them for sure. And then also, like Michelle mentioned, in our department, it's wonderful. All the doors are open always. You can stop in and ask, questions if you need help, or, just if you need a funny story. Everyone definitely has those always to share. And we're just super supported all the way across campus. So actually yesterday, I did a Zoom check-in call with one of our faculty members just to say hey. And, I don't think that's that common at a lot of schools where, coaches are interacting so closely with faculty members.
Yeah, so we just got a question, so I'll give it to you first. So what was a proud coach moment from this year for you?
Oh, good question. So obviously our season was cut short this year, which was, definitely not how we saw this year going. But I think kind of the last few days of our season, again, not how we saw things going, but everyone just really came together really quickly because we knew that everyone was likely going to have to move off campus. And, that was the last time that group was all going to be together. And I think that it was really nice to see them just really support each other through all the craziness that was happening and all that kind of stuff. So even though we weren't able to play that last game, we had thrown together a senior day because we had 4 seniors that we really wanted to honor. So we threw it together really quickly. And even though the game was canceled like 2 hours before that was going to happen, which not ideal, it was really great to have all of them there. We did, all of it, the parents were there and all that kind of stuff. So it looked as close to a normal senior day as possible, just without the actual game happening. So I think that was something that I'll definitely always remember for sure.
I think I'll echo you on that one. I think that day was a day that none of us will ever forget, but my team's performance on that day, it was just a crazy week with stuff in my personal life, as well as everything going on across the country and coming together and then getting that hit on the first try. It was definitely a moment I'll never forget. And I'm hopeful too that those memories are going to continue on in the future teams and kind of live on in that sense, because I'm sure, as an athlete nowadays, it's so hard to just go all in and get rid of all that fear and anxiety. And so for them just to go out and do it and hold nothing back, knowing, that it might be the last time, that was a really cool memory. And like I said, something I hope lives on in our future teams.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So Amanda wants to know, what cheer stunt move is the hardest to watch? Oh goodness. Nothing really scares me anymore. So I will say back in the day, it would be the flipping, twisting baskets. Those were the things that it took us a good year and a half to get one of those to actually work well. So the full and double full baskets, that would have been our athlete Dom Burke and backspot Bailey, Sammy Campbell, Bailey Saptas. That group back in the day, they took a lot of fails in order for us to get that first basket. And it was always like, all right, let's try it today and see what happens. But no, it was definitely a good moment when it finally happened. And yeah, now we're building those back up into the sport. So that's pretty fun. All right. Bree wants to know, AJ, what's your favorite Alma tradition?
Ooh, I think I'll have to echo a lot of people that have already done this. The bagpipes, I think that's an awesome part of Alma that is super unique, that I think a lot of places don't have something that instantly ties everyone together, whether you're, at what am I trying to say? Like a band performance where that happens, or just on campus when people are practicing, or obviously at the beginning of the football games. I think it just is super, super special that, it really ups the environment for sure.
Yeah. I think probably one of the ones for me would be, it's kind of non-traditional, but I really think the gauntlet's a really cool thing. And just watching it go from that first moment of freshman year when you walk into freshman convocation to when you walk out at graduation, and just kind of that tradition that's embedded in that as far as starting your journey, and then you end your journey, but you're not ending it. You're still surrounded by this Alma bubble and these people that are going to support you and be there for you as you enter into whatever the next chapter is of your life. So I think that's a pretty cool tradition. And I think it's very representative of Alma and the small school mentality, that it's not just for 4 years, but you have this school and these people with you for the rest of your life. So I think that's a pretty cool tradition.
I think we missed one further back. What is your most embarrassing coaching moment, Michelle?
Most embarrassing. That one's hard. I'm pretty go with the flow. Embarrassing. I guess it would be, trying to think back in the early days. I embarrassed myself a lot more when I was younger. It would either be the throwdown where we had to get pied in the, it's probably that one. The throwdown in A-Town where we had to get pied in the face, and my mom was visiting. And so she bought up every single ticket so that she could pie me in the face. So that was a fun memory. My mom in college as a coach getting to pie me in the face. So that's probably the first one. Do you have an embarrassing memory, AJ?
Trying to think. This was before Alma, but at a previous place that I worked, I was part of a coaching staff that we forgot the uniforms at the school. And this was at Grand Valley. Forgot the uniforms, and we realized it on the bus, and we were far away from campus, so we could not go back to get them. So luckily they traveled with their pennies with numbers on the back, and they had to play in swishy rain pants and pennies. So that was definitely not our finest moment for sure.
That's a good one. That's a very good one. All right. Best Alma win for both coaches. Ooh, this is hard because there's different levels of winning.
Mm-hmm.
There's hard part wins, and then obviously winning a national championship, there's nothing that compares
obviously
to that. But some of my favorite wins have been the close STUNT games, the overtime games. We've had a couple overtime wins. Any win where it's hard fought back and forth, but probably the 2017 national championship was our first national championship. That was a pretty cool win. And 5 years went into that, and all the girls that came before and on that team really coming together to get that win. So that was definitely my best one.
Yeah, that was an exciting one for sure, Michelle. For me, I would say kind of the most exciting one. We were on spring break in Washington State. This was probably 4 years ago now. We were down 8 or 9 goals at halftime, which in lacrosse, that's a lot. And we pulled it together and were able to come back and win in the second half, which was huge. So that one definitely always sticks out in my mind.
Awesome. So we have another question. How are the team dynamics in Alma?
Yeah, I think that all the teams are really supportive of one another. And I think that might start top down, because if you go to any sporting event in Alma, there's a ton of coaches there. If they aren't practicing with their own team, they're in the stands cheering on, the other teams and also the other coaches. It's just a nice atmosphere to be in, honestly. And I think that the student athletes kind of model that behavior too, because there's a lot of support between the different teams.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with the D3 model as well. I think that the student athletes at D3, they truly have a passion for their sport. They're choosing to be a student and an athlete and give equal passion to both. And so I think you see that. And I've gotten to work with SAC the last couple of years, and really getting the student athletes from all these different sports has been really cool, just to see the passion. But the passion isn't just in the sports and everything else. So you really get this melting pot, and everyone has some way that they can connect with someone else. And so I think you get that shared respect between all of them. You went upside down.
I'm plugging the phone in, so
I know. I'm watching mine as we go.
Yeah.
All right. Caroline wants to know what we thought of President A's cheer and stunt debut. Now, I'll say that President Abernathy, he has gone into a stunt this year, and now he's working on his tumbling. So he's really kind of upped his game. I was very impressed with that cartwheel, as well as the work that went into doing the cartwheel. So he's become pretty famous on our Instagram for his cheer antics, which has been fun.
That was super fun to watch.
All right. What are your top priorities in building a positive team culture?
Good question. I think that could be from different angles, but I think that kind of starts with leadership on the team. And I think, whether that's with the captains or just the general leadership amongst the classes, but just having them be together. I think just developing that closeness for sure. With our team in particular, I think a lot of that comes from all the community service stuff that we do, because they're together doing something for somebody else, and in those moments when maybe you're stacking canned goods on shelves, but you're also talking. So as a senior talking to a freshman and maybe having conversations that they wouldn't have had otherwise. And so I think just the familiarity and being together a lot, which happens, naturally with being on a sports team and things like that. But I just think the more time they're able to spend together, getting to know each other only helps, that build that culture and, further what we've discussed, with the team and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. And me and AJ are office buddies, so we share a lot of stuff. So I think the other thing is just being intentional about it. We do a lot of Jeff Jansen, a lot of different proactive coaching. And I think as coaches, we really beg, borrow, and steal between each other. Someone has a good idea. We're like, I'm doing that today at practice. So I think it's really about spending the time, not just on the physical piece of the sport, but also on the mental and the team bonding and all those other aspects that go into being successful. And so I think when you spend purposeful time on building that culture, you get what you put into it. So I think really being intentional. And I know as a coaching staff, we have a lot of conversations about different things and, trying to find what's working now. And obviously going into next year, we're going to be in a whole different boat with this new world. But I think it's giving us positive challenges to kind of overcome it and find ways that we can keep helping the athletes.
Yeah, definitely. The next one I see is, what should athletes prepare for most when getting ready for college tryouts, and what stands out to you guys the most?
So Alma's a little bit unique. I know a lot of college cheer teams are going through tryouts right now, but we are one of the schools that only does recruiting. So we don't necessarily have a tryout. What we do is right now, especially, we ask that you send in a skill video. All the sports teams at Alma have a recruiting survey. So if you go to almascots.com, there's a link that says Play for Alma, and you can fill out that recruiting survey, and that gets you in the coach's database. So then you can get on email lists, and you can get information. And then in a normal time, we would be getting you up to campus for an official visit. And that's all a part of the recruiting process. So the biggest thing that I would say for standing out would be positive communication. So filling out that recruit survey, email the head coach, let them know that you're interested, and communicate effectively. Make sure you're letting them know that you are interested and you keep following up, because sometimes things get lost. And if you just send one email in a busy time, we try really hard to get back to everyone, but it might get lost. So if it's been a week or two and you're not hearing back, email again and just stay on top of it and really be that responsible student athlete that's working to show that head coach, hey, I'm serious and I really want to be a part of your program.
Yeah, for sure. I know a lot of the recruiting that Michelle does is on Instagram and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. For lacrosse and other sports kind of in that vein, we go and watch games, and a lot of that stuff happens in the summer or with club programs and things like that. And the thing that I would say that I pay attention to the most is kind of some of the intangible things. So if, you drop a ball, because not everyone's going to catch every single ball that's thrown at you. That's just never going to happen, right? So if you drop a pass, are you upset about it? Do you hang your head? Do you pout? Do you throw your stick? Things like that. Or, do you bust your butt up the field to make up for, maybe that mistake? And so I think those things that maybe you don't think about kind of give you a peek into maybe their character, or kind of, what kind of teammate are they going to be? Something that you can I can notice even watching the game. How are you interacting with your teammates? How are you interacting with your coaches? Are you paying attention when people are speaking to you? And just kind of things like that. Those speak more to character and those intangibles that I can't really teach you, right? Those are things that you're going to come in with. I can teach you everything you need to know about lacrosse, but I can't necessarily teach you how to, be wanting to work hard, right? Having that passion for what you're doing, and even when times get tough, working through those challenges instead of just maybe taking the easy road. But those are just some things that sometimes people don't think about, that you are easy to notice when you're watching games.
Well, and I think the other thing is too, I know most college coaches, we're not necessarily looking for the student athlete that has peaked in their senior year. Right. We're looking for someone that hasn't hit their ceiling yet, that still has 4 more years to come in and keep working, keep grinding, and has that passion and that fire to keep working hard and wants to get better. I think sometimes high school athletes get in this, I have to be perfect by my senior year, when I think the opposite is true. We want to see you working hard, and we want to see you, there's certain skills that we want to see you have, but we're also looking for that work ethic, that passion, that coachability that it's hard to teach, but it's intentional. It's really a mental piece of it, where you're going to work hard for what you want, because that's an athlete that we're going to be able to really work with for 4 years and really get a lot out of them during that 4 years.
Absolutely. Michelle, what's the difference between co-ed and all-girls stunting?
Well, this is actually one of my college teammates. So co-ed stunting is 1 male and 1 female. All girls stunting is quad groups, which are 4 females. So at Alma College currently, our competitive team is all girl, and our spirit squad is a co-ed team. Our spirit squad has both co-ed stunting as well as all girls stunting. But the biggest difference is really just the makeup. All girls stunting is going to have 4 girls within the stunt group that are working together on the singular stunt. All girl groups can also do single base stunting and different things like that. But for the most part, that's the main difference between co-ed and all girl stunting.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Michelle. Favorite workout music?
Well, as a cheerleader, I like the more techno, hard beats, stuff that really kind of get you going. Old cheer music, it's always a good go-to.
It's not a recording of you counting to 8, Michelle. That's not.
You have those though, if you like one.
No, I hear it all the time anyway from you. I don't know. It's a bunch of different things. AC/DC, Fleetwood Mac, all kinds of stuff. But
More
there's not really a
fun.
style of music that I don't like, but that's kind of where we're at these days.
All right. McKinley wants to know, how would you describe your team's culture?
Oh man. I would say it's one of closeness, right? One of wanting to work hard and pushing each other, to get the absolute most out of each other. And I think that it kind of starts from being there for each other on and off the field. And that's something that starts as soon as they get to campus. And that's, the seniors, taking our first year students, under their wing and all that kind of stuff. And just right from the very beginning, being together. Working hard for, that common goal. I think that's kind of the root of it.
I think for our culture, we have the three words, which are passion, unity, and tenacity. And I think that's really what we've built off of. Each team's a little bit different, and each team starts the season by really talking about what these words are going to mean for them and what the overall legacy of that team is going to be for the year. And then we try to reflect upon that theme. This year was fearless, which worked out really well with as crazy as a year as it was. But we try to find something that we're going to really focus on within our culture that year, as well as working on our 3 core covenants and making sure that we display passion, unity, and tenacity, both in practice, in the classroom, on our social media, in the public, and really make sure that we are living our culture, not just from 4 to 6, but the entire time that we are a part of the program.
Definitely. Do you speak German?
No.
I also cannot. Let's see. How do you work to overcome adversity?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think that is crucial. And the one thing that I've learned in, many years is you have to have adversity within a season to have that moment to overcome it. Because I think the climb over that hill is really what brings a team together and kind of gets you to the other side and realize that the work is worth it. I think the best way to overcome adversity is by facing it head on, not shying away from it when something's hard, not quitting, not giving up on it, not being in a situation where, it's very comfortable and easy. You have to be willing to go out of your comfort zone to try something new, and you have to be okay with possibly failing, because those failures are how we're going to learn and are going to set you up for the big success at the end. So I think that's the biggest way to overcome adversity, is just to go at it head on, know it's going to be there, not be afraid of it. And if you do have that fear, use it to power yourself towards getting to the other side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, proactive communication for sure. Because, like you mentioned, facing it head on. And a lot of times, maybe if something's hard, we may be, a little reluctant to name that or talk about it, because sometimes, like you said, it's uncomfortable. But having those meetings and really talking about whatever, that challenge might be, I think is really step one to moving past whatever it is. And some of that is goal setting. If we've set goals at the beginning of the season and then things get hard or things don't go the way that we had wanted them to, you can revisit those goals and how are, the things happening right now impacting, maybe the long-term goals, and are we on the right track to accomplish those things? And if not, what can we do to kind of get back on track? So I think kind of that goal setting piece, I think, is also pretty crucial, just to see where we're coming from and where we're hoping to go. And, hopefully there's no stumbles in the way, but if so, then, what can we do to move past that?
All right. So Kiwi asked, what is your favorite team tradition?
Oh, missed that one. Ooh, good one. There's a ton of them. I'm trying to think of something that's super fun to talk about. I mentioned community service and all that kind of stuff, but that's something that we are really big on. Not only the lacrosse team, but I think our athletic department in general is pretty big community service focused. But one of the things that we have started doing the last few years is that when we travel for spring break, our leaders on our team take initiative and look into the different cities that we're traveling to, and they come up with a couple different community service organizations that we can volunteer with even when we're out of Alma. So we've done a couple of different things, and each year we go somewhere different. So it's kind of interesting to see the places that they come up with, and then they're in charge of working with those organizations to kind of make our trip there and set everything up. So I think that's something fun and unique that we've kind of started doing the last few years.
That's cool. I think for me, it's kind of sad because we didn't get to do it this year. But my favorite one, I'm a big Survivor fan. So our last practice of the year, we always set up a Survivor memory walk type thing. And so we have all the different moments and milestones throughout the season put up around the Hogan building, and there's a ribbon on each one. And so we have a Dollar Tree tiki torch. And so we go around as a team, or they go around, and they pick up a ribbon at each memory and add it to the torch. And it's just kind of a reminder of everything we've gone through to get to that final practice as a team and that final competition. And then we take that torch with us to that last competition and remember, like, it's not just this one moment, but it's everything up until this moment that's really made us a team and made us, ready for this final competition. So that's one of my favorites. I love Survivor.
Favorite place to get food in Alma?
Ooh, I love food. Ooh, I think favorite place, probably, it's not Alma, but Blue Shamrock's probably like my go-to. It's not Lewis than Alma. If we're in Alma, probably Serendipity, even though it's really not food. It's a form of food, sweet food.
Yeah. I like Main Cafe. Breakfast is always a good option for sure.
Her Stone Oven too. I'm outside of Alma again, but her Stone.
What'd you say?
Her Stone Oven.
Oh, that is good too.
Oh, now I'm hungry.
Yeah, and then Alma Brewing Company, I think their food is really great as well. But
here we go. Cafe. Favorite Starbucks drink?
Oh, I don't get too creative there, but just iced coffee, really. That's usually my go-to.
Anyone that knows me is not surprised. It's a strawberry refresher.
Yeah.
Lifetime supply of them. Oh, here's a good one. So the Life of Shelley wants to know, how do you help students juggle athletics and schoolwork?
Yeah, good question. I think that, we have different meetings, each week pretty much with the different student athletes. In our program, it is based on your GPAs in terms of how many, study hall hours and things like that you kind of fill out in our study hall binder and things like that. But once a week, our student athletes meet with our assistant coach. Shout out Kennedy, hello. And just kind of talk about things that are going on with them in classes, and they turn in their different syllabi at the beginning of the semester, just so we kind of know a schedule of what's due and kind of what to expect for them in each of their classes. So and they do a check-in sheet every week, just kind of the assignments that are upcoming or ones that have just been turned in, and kind of the grades they've gotten on there, just so there's not any surprises. And if they're maybe struggling in certain classes, we're able to be proactive in getting them set up with tutors. At Alma, tutoring is a free service provided to all students, not just student athletes at Alma, so that's awesome. But just kind of being proactive with them and just not waiting until something has gotten out of hand in terms of their grades, but handling as it goes.
Yeah, no, we're very similar to that. It's we have certain academic requirements, both for our team and for the college. And so we work with our student athletes to make sure that they are meeting those. We have mentors within our program. So we have upperclassmen that mentor our underclassmen, and we pair those up within the same fields of some sort, just so you have someone to ask questions to. And then Bree Ramos, my full-time assistant coach, she is awesome. She's an Alma alum as well, as is Kennedy. Mm-hmm. So I think having those alums in those coaching positions also help out, because they've been there, they've done that. And then just teaching the student athletes how to communicate with their professors, how to use time management, use the resources that are available to them, like tutoring, CSO, the counseling center, all of those different things. So we really work one-on-one with our student athletes to make sure that they can balance all of that. And I think time management is really the biggest thing. in high school, everything's scheduled for you. And so you know exactly where you're doing, what you're doing, where you should be. In college, you have freedom to really make your own schedule, and you actually end up with a lot more free time, but you tend to not feel the need to use it sometimes. And so a lot of that is just helping you realize, like, you have a lot of time in the day that if we just move the studying up a little bit in the day, it can make life a little bit easier. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just helping the athletes figure out what works best for them and finding those study skills, figuring out when to take classes to best suit their learning styles, and just kind of finding that good flow for each person.
Yeah, time management is key for sure. And it takes some people longer to figure it out than others.
Some people come in, they're good to go. Others, it takes a while to realize can't sleep till 1 o'clock.
Yep. Oh man. What is the team dynamic like during the off season, and is there still that close knit bond?
Yeah, so cheer's a little bit different because our season is somewhat all the time. So our off season is very much off. We don't do a lot in our off season because we're on for most of the school year. So usually we would be just ending our season this past week, and then we would be off for most of May and June, and into July. So typically in our off season for cheer, we do 1 weekend practice and then we do camp, but that's all that we do in the summertime. The rest of the time is during the school year. And then we also have all of our breaks off during the school year for cheer. So Christmas break, spring break, we might do something on the weekend before or after, but the majority of the break is off. And so that's good for our out-of-state kids to be able to go home and all of that stuff. But for the most part, the team, they are a family. They don't need a coach to tell them to talk to each other. They're constantly talking and interacting, welcoming new members, all of that stuff in the off season.
Yeah, definitely. Lacrosse is a little bit different in terms of kind of the way our year is set up. So we are a spring sport, and so our non-traditional season is in the fall, and we are allowed 15 practices and then 1 competition day. And then after that, that's the only lacrosse hands-on time that I'm able to be there. So outside of those 15 practices, the team they're able to do captain's practices and things like that. So they do kind of keep up with lacrosse that way, and they're together in terms of lacrosse. But we are also able to do strength and conditioning throughout the entire off season for us. So they are definitely still together at least 4 days a week because they're in the weight room with our awesome strength and conditioning coach. Shout out Fletcher. He's also the one for cheer and stunt. So he's got both of our programs. So they are at least together during those 4 days for strength and conditioning. But as Michelle said, they are a family and they don't need me there to, ensure that they are hanging out and talking and all that stuff, because they definitely are together the majority of the time. You rarely see one of them without another, which is always great because, again, like we mentioned before, the more that they're together off the field, the better things are going to be when they actually are on the field. So yeah, I think off season, the dynamic is definitely still there.
Well, and fun fact to sweet Katie, I did try out for Survivor with one of my alumni, Laura Kassler, and we bombed it. So that fun fact, we are rooting for Andrew Palmerville to get on Survivor. That's where I'm putting my vote towards him. I want to see him on it because I don't know how to deal with the nighttime bugs and all that.
Jeez. I
right.
think that's it.
I think so too. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yeah.
I missed you being next to me in the office.
Absolutely. And then if anyone has any follow-up questions for either Michelle or I, we're easily accessible, email or cell phone, all that kind of stuff. And that can be found on the Alma Athletics website. But hope everyone's staying safe and healthy, and hopefully see you guys at an Alma lacrosse game or a cheer and stunt event next year.
Go Scots.
Right. Go Scots.